We just shot some clips shooting 360 frames a second on the new GoPro Hero 13 Black, and let's deep dive into how do we actually edit this footage. We open up our editor. We're using Premiere Pro right here. I'm gonna make a new sequence. File, new sequence, 9x16 because I shot it vertical. That's my preset, but here's my settings. 2997 frames a second, 1080 by 1920, square pixels, progressive scan, drop frame time code, and I don't think any of that other stuff matters. 16, name it, and we create our sequence. And we drag it and we drop it. It's gonna ask us this question. We keep existing settings. Set this to the frame size. Do not use scale, use set. 360 frames a second is kind of an awkward number, and we're gonna need the calculator to let me explain. We can use 2997 and 30 interchangeably because we're using 360 and 359.65 interchangeably. Just trust the math adds up. So we have our timeline at 30 frames a second, and we have our clip at 360. So we divide that and we get 0.08333 repeating, of course. So that translates to 8.33333%. All right, let's say we shot it with the 400 frames a second. So we have 30, we divide that by 400, and here we get 7.5% speed. Low percents with a decimal after them. I'm actually going to drag in a duplicate that I created of it, but it actually has a frame counter on it. So as you frame through, you can see what frame number you're on. So right now, just dumping this 360 frame a second into the 30 timeline, it's giving me 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. All right, we go to speed, duration, and we type in 8.3333%. Okay, so when we go back to speed duration, we notice it's only giving us 8.33, but that is enough to make it so that now when our clip plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's playing just every frame sequentially, and we have that nice slow-mo. So that's one way to get there. I'd say on a longer clip with this percentage and it being repeating, you might even get like a frame repeat like way down the line. Let me show you. Just for fun, let's change this to 8.3%. Okay, notice how the clip did expand out. It moved out like a couple frames. And from previous inspection, I noticed that at around frame 250, look at this, see? We're thumbing back and forth on the timeline, and it's the same frame. So we have a duplicate frame every 250th frame. And then here we are at 501, we have another duplicate. That's why my theory is that at 8.33%, you might have a frame duplicate at frame number 2500. Who's to say? Well, unfortunately, that isn't the most useful for us if we want absolute perfection. And let's say we want to use the time remapping graph. All right, how do we do that? Because we know that it doesn't accept percentages. So let's go in time remapping speed, and let's drag this all the way down to, let's just start with 8%. Okay, so here we are at 8%. At 8%, we have a frame duplication at frame 24, and I believe again at 48. Yep. So every 24 frames we have a duplicate if we bring it to 8%, so that won't work. And if we go to 9, we kind of still have the same problem, but it skips a frame. So here we have frame 26 is being skipped. And then I believe again, once we get up towards 53, yep, skips frame 53. So again, that's not acceptable because it has a micro stutter of either the little stop or the little skip. What is the foolproof, flawless, guaranteed way to do this? All right, we're gonna go over to our project panel here on the left, and we right click on the clip and we go to modify, interpret footage, and we assume the frame rate of 29.97, which is exactly what our sequence is. So you set it to whatever your sequence is. Okay, if your sequence is 30, you set it to 30. Okay, so we hit the OK button, and we'll be able to expand this clip way out again. And here we are back to that perfect flawless slow-mo where it plays every single frame. There's no weird duplicate at 250 or any of that. Okay, it is absolutely perfect. It plays every single frame in order flawlessly. So now what we do, we already clicked that. And I just like to unlink the audio and video. Let's start setting our speed ramps here. So we set one keyframe, and we're gonna just draw out the flick right there. And instead of slow-moing the trick, we're speeding up the lead into it. If we do 360 divided by 30, we get 12, so that's 12 times, or 1200%. Okay, so remember from before, when I said to get back to real time, 1200% is the speed, and that's where this number is useful. So 1200% will actually give us real time if we go here. So you have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. So we're back up to that perfect real time. All right, and here's my dirty little trick to line up audio on a speed ramp clip. Hover that over the middle of the Bezier. You match up the ends. Change this to the fast speed. Just slot that right in there. And then we're gonna ramp out at it somewhere around the catch and go to like somewhere near where I land. And then from here, let's go up to like half speed. Okay. And this brings up another topic. So half speed would be 600% on this. What speeds are acceptable here would be every like 100% interval all the way up to half speed. So in our case, half speed is 600% here. So 100%, 200%, 300%, 400%, 500%, 600%, and 1200%. Those are the speeds that we want to try and have our clip running at all times. Why is 700% bad? Once you start getting above half speed, you'll be playing a few frames sequentially and then skipping a frame, basically reintroducing that micro stutter. So how this works when you conform it to your timeline's frame rate is at 100% speed, it plays every frame. At 200%, it plays a frame, skips a frame, plays a frame, skips a frame. At 300%, skips 2 frames, plays a frame, skips 2 frames, plays a frame. All right. At 400%, skips 3 frames, plays a frame, skips 3 frames, plays a frame. All right. And it does that all the way up until when you hit that half speed mark. But then once you start getting above half speed, what starts happening is it will start playing a couple frames sequentially and then be skipping frames. And once you start having frames playing sequentially with skips after it, that's when you start getting all that micro stutter reintroduced. You know, if you want the perfect, flawless, super smooth, buttery, always slow-mo, you know, these are kind of the rules to it that I've found worked for me over the years. Okay, so anyways, back to the end part of this clip. All right, so we set that to 600. We just line up the ends. It doesn't really matter that much. So it looks like absolute crap in our timeline when it's real time. And then, you know, it's all sorts of glitchy, but that's just timeline playback. You know, we just have to trust, because when we start framing through, you know, the motion is very smooth and consistent. Same with on the way out too. Even that catch that kind of glitched, when you actually play it frame by frame, you don't see any of that. That's just a playback issue. Even though it might not look the smoothest in your timeline, you just have to believe in the math and know that your calculations worked. Let's just do a quick little export. Do a Command M. Here's my settings for like a 1080p kind of social media sort of export. Match source, high bitrate is where it starts, but make sure render maximum bit depth, use maximum render quality. The software encoding doesn't matter so much here because I'm using media encoder. I choose VBR2 pass and I put this at 30 on each. If you're gonna do 4K, you might want to like go up to 50 or maybe a little higher. You can see your file size export there, so that might help you decide. That's really all that I change, is put these sliders on 30, 2 pass, check the 2 render quality boxes, and everything else kind of just goes. It's H.264. We send a media encoder, and here we actually get hardware acceleration, and we hit that play button on it, let it rip, and we're exporting extremely fast. So you notice how smooth it plays now once it's exported. Big shout out to Riley Bathurst, who shot this clip and followed me around the skate park all day while I tried this a million times. Go give him a follow on Instagram. If you guys want to support me, you can always click my affiliate link in the description below if you're buying a GoPro, or if you want to grab a shirt from Z Dropped, make a little commission on those sales. Other than that, just Keep enjoying the videos. Go out there, have some fun, shoot some rad stuff on your GoPros. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or if you don't, I don't know, whatever.